hey folks, my name is Brad, and today I have packed up my metal detector and hiked into the middle of nowhere in the mountains of Vermont to see if maybe we can find a few treasures lost by the folks that used to live up here. Now I say the middle of nowhere, it is now, but a couple hundred years ago, this was all clear cut and was a sheep farm. There's old stone walls all over the place, and the home where these farmers used to live is right over there. It's a big square hole in the ground lined by field stones. Now, as far as I understand it, they were here around 1850 and left in the early 1900s. So hopefully we find some things on the older side of that, but definitely possible to find some early 1900s coins and jewelry as well. We'll just have to wait and find out. I'm gonna get my metal detector out, see what we can find. All right, we've got a very loud 86 right under this log. Sounds like it's basically on the surface. Oh, I see it. It's a modern, oh, it's a wheat penny. Wheat cent. Sitting on the surface, funny. Real loud 87 here. What's this? Wow, that's a big old clock gear. That's cool. So this is kind of a common find, but one that I always find particularly interesting. A massive clock gear. And I've said this multiple times in past videos, usually referring to pocket watches, but when you conjure up in your mind the idea of folks living up here in the mountains, what you imagine are folks just kind of scraping to get by, like you think of like a log cabin, pioneers. And then you find something like this, a part of a clock. A clock is such an intricate machine with teeny tiny pieces tuned so that it keeps time day after day after day. It really puts into perspective that these people that lived up here, they were connected to civilization. They had things like clocks. I understand that idea of the pioneers up here having nothing is a naive thought. They had clocks way earlier than the middle of the 1800s. But it always just kind of snaps you back into perspective of what they did actually have up here. They were maybe not living comfortably, but they were certainly living, and they could get to places on time when they needed to. How one gear gets out and lost, who knows? Let me know what you think. Big old clock gear. 87. It's a great target, and we're right next to this foundation. Good sign. Oh, you see that? That is silver. That is silver. You see it? Right there, just the rim of it. I can't believe it. I'm not gonna hesitate any longer. We're gonna take it out and look at it together here. Get a little bit of a flip from the edge. I think it's a dime sized. Oops. Yeah, look at that. That is a barber dime. Beautiful. All right, let me get my spray out so we don't scratch it too much. We'll figure out what the date is. Wow, 1909. 1909. And it is crisp. So from what I understand about the history of this place, it was abandoned early 1910s, 1920s. So this would have likely gone into circulation, been held by the people that lived here, and then lost very, very quickly, which is why it's more than likely in pretty good condition. It didn't get floated around in anybody's pockets, wearing down for very long before it was dropped. And you know, considering how close we are to the foundation, it's right there. You know, is this where maybe an early wagon was parked? Was it in the house and the house fell? And here it ended up. Possibilities are endless, but in any case, we have it now. That is awesome. Beautiful condition. Seems like a good spot. I'm starting to see snowflakes drop. So we're gonna rush through, see if we can find a few more things before we get out of here. on this hill. Got a little shallow. 76. There. Well, we know what that is. Wouldn't be a trip into the mountains without finding a spoon bowl. 86. Pretty clean too. Like right here. Oh, it is a coin. No way.
Yeah, Indian head penny. I think. Yeah, 1 cent.
I think I see a 1900 something. So early 1900s. 1909 they flipped over to the Lincoln cent, but man, pleasant surprise. So maybe you could see how shallow that was. It really depends. Sometimes things are incredibly deep, sometimes they are right on the surface, and at least 2 times in my metal detecting career I have found colonial coins from the 1700s on the surface, whether that's because they were sitting on a rock right below the surface of the dirt or tree roots brought them up. This one was basically on the surface, less than an inch down. And I am next to all of these bushes and stuff. Maybe the roots of that brought this up. So maybe you can see it really pays to get the metal detector underneath stuff like this. This obviously wasn't here over 100 years ago. People were walking around, dropping stuff out of their pockets. Now, today, it's an obstacle that we have to kind of try to get around as best we can. Great find. Let's keep going. 76. Musket ball. Pistol ball, probably. So this is probably trash, but 77, 83, kind of junky. Whoa. Wow. Never found one like that before. So I've actually already found a couple of these today, lamp parts. Hurricane lamps, you can imagine a big thick wick kind of coming up through here. Underneath there would have been glass with, depending on how old it is, kerosene or some oil of some kind, whale oil. I have never seen one like this.
It has this spring. I assume it's a decoration of some kind, unless it was this. You know what? Actually, this was probably used to keep this on the glass jar. I would guess. But look, there's text all around the outside here. Booth and Hayden's.
That's cool. Very, very common find for pretty much any place of this time period. You know, early 1900s, places like this started getting electricity, and you wouldn't need these for light inside or outside. And they fell out of popularity, but this is an interesting one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it cleaned up to make it a nice display piece or anything, but we'll try. Huh. Interesting. I saw this triangular shape here, and the first thing I thought was a piece of cut flashing, roof flashing, or around a chimney or whatever. And then I said, oh my gosh, it's so perfect. Maybe it's a native kettle point. That's the right dimensions. But having found quite a few of those legitimately, I can tell that it's certainly not that. When we flip it over, we can see a whole bunch of old rivets. So this is actually some leather adornment, and one that I've never happened to find before. Oftentimes they're in the shape of a shield or just a square or a diamond. Never happened to find a triangle one. And, you know, best guess, part of a saddle. It could be the end of a strap to kind of stiffen up the end of a leather strap so it can go through the buckles and not get all frayed up. Never happened to find one this shape. It's kind of cool. And the thing I always have to remind myself about these is right now it's obviously dirty and green and rusted up. But in the time it would have been beautiful, shining, and golden since it is brass. And you can imagine a saddle or a harness just absolutely covered with these shining brass adornments and buckles and everything else. Not what I was expecting. Not flashing, not a kettle point. Something else entirely. Kind of neat. This is not a good target. It's only one direction. 85 though, in that direction. It's probably sheet metal, I would guess. So, yeah. I think that's a pin for an axe handle. Old one, crude one. That's pretty interesting. All right, this is a beautiful 91, 90, two directions, promising. You gotta be kidding me. It's a big old coin. That is a big old coin. Wow, it's an old one too. Well, you might not be able to tell, but I am on top of the ruins of, I assumed they were horse stables. It's not out of the question, you could drop some coins in a horse stable, but it's just so rocky, it's so hard to dig. Persisted though, and we ended up with a large coin, large copper coin. I can see from the back here that it is a large cent, 1 cent it says. As we flip it over here, I believe, looks like an 1814 maybe. Wow, awesome. The back is in great shape. The front, unfortunately, not so much, but we might be able to do a little bit of work on this at home. Let's spray it, see what happens. Now, for people who have been following along with my videos, I always say I don't spray my copper coins with water because it can take away a lot of that green patina, but I have since switched to isopropyl alcohol. So far, I feel like it does a better job than water does, keeping the coin intact. All right, I think it says 1814, which is over 200 years ago. This little piece of copper has been sitting here. Well, it probably didn't get dropped in the ground in 1814, but you get what I'm saying. It's been out here a long time, waiting for somebody to dig it up. Beautiful, incredible. Quite a bit older than, 100 years older than the barber dime and the Indian had sent from earlier. Awesome. Just goes to show you just absolutely never know what you can find out here. People have been living in this spot for a long time. Plenty to find. Incredible. All right, well, you can probably hear the snow hitting the ground around me. Pretty soon the ground is going to be white, so I'm going to go as fast as I can, see if I can find a few more things, and we'll get out of here. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to call it a day. You might be able to tell behind me little patches of snow here and there. It snowed off and on throughout the day, accumulating in some spots, but the temperature has definitely dropped. I can barely feel my fingers, and the sky's supposed to open up with snow in about an hour, so I'm gonna get the heck out of the mountains. Surprisingly great day today. Slow with the finds, didn't find a ton of relics, but the coins I found just completely blow my mind. I did not expect to find any silver today, and that old large cent, total surprise. Can't believe it. I've got everything I found today laid out. Let's take a look. All right, well, here are the treasures for the day, and I believe you saw most of this stuff
come out of the ground, with a few exceptions, I'm sure. In the way back, we have just a piece of an iron horse bit, a lamp, clock part. I found 5 buttons today with 2 matching old style brass rivets. There's a little kind of flower design in the center of those. Of course, a spoon bowl. Several buckles, a few pieces of modern change, and then the coins that I'm excited about today. We have an Indian head cent, our barber dime, I believe it's 1909, and the very old large cent, which was a huge surprise today. I wasn't expecting to find anything that old. A little fragment of a bell, and then our little leather adornment. So cool, so much fun today. A lot of these things I was expecting to find, but as I said, a few of these total surprises.
All right, folks, well, I want to thank you again for watching. If this is one of my first videos that you've seen, I post one of these every Friday. So if you liked what you saw today, consider subscribing or just come on back next week. I'm going to start hiking out. Hopefully, I'll see you next time.